They said the stream was fake, a hoax to scare people off the dark web. But when I saw what was happening live on that screen, when I realized who they had, you knew it wasn't fake at all. If you enjoy true horror stories like this one, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay until the end, because the final story tonight will leave you speechless. It started when my friend Mason sent me a link one night. We'd been exploring hidden sites on the dark web for a few weeks, mostly out of curiosity, nothing more. The kind of stupid curiosity that gets you in trouble before you realize how deep you've gone. The link was short and clean, no context, no text message, just a small icon of an eye. I messaged him back, "What's this?" He replied immediately, "Livestream, real one, not the fake crap." I remember my stomach tightening. Livestream and dark web should never be in the same sentence, but I clicked it anyway. The site loaded slowly. The screen stayed black for a few seconds. Then a faint, red glow appeared. A dimly lit basement, with a single metal chair in the center. The camera was fixed, grainy, like something from an old security feed. A chat box appeared beside the video, with hundreds of messages streaming by. Most were in foreign languages, but I recognized words like, "Next victim," "Ready," and "Oxen." I froze. Was this one of those red rooms? The ones everyone said were urban legends? The screen flickered. A masked figure stepped into view, wearing a dirty gray hoodie and latex gloves. He stood beside the chair and adjusted the camera, then disappeared out of frame. Then a door opened in the background. Someone, a woman, was pushed inside. Her hands were tied. She was trembling so hard that even through the low resolution, you could see it. That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. On every rice, there was a small tattoo, a black heart with a broken line through it. I knew that tattoo. Mason's girlfriend, Kayla, had the same one. I typed in the chat immediately. "Is that Kayla?" "Of course." No one responded. The feed went on. The masked man returned, holding something in his hand, a piece of paper. He held it up to the camera, and I swear to God it said my username. I slammed my laptop shut so fast it nearly broke. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. I called Mason. He didn't answer. I tried again and again, but nothing. Then I opened the message thread. His icon had turned gray, disconnected. For the next few hours, I sat in my apartment, pacing, trying to rationalize what I'd seen. Maybe it was some sick performance, but then I heard it. A ding, a message notification. It wasn't from Mason. It was from an unknown sender. It contained one line. "Why did you close the stream?" My chest went tight. I didn't reply. I didn't even breathe for a few seconds. Another message followed. "You were chosen. You don't leave before the show ends." That night, I disconnected my router, smashed my laptop, and didn't sleep until sunrise. I tried to convince myself it was all some prank, that Mason was behind it. But the next morning, his mother called me. Mason never came home. His car was found parked on a back road outside the city, engine still running, doors unlocked. I told the police everything, every detail. But when they searched my apartment, my destroyed laptop had been wiped clean. No link, no record, nothing. They didn't believe me. A week later, I received a small package in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a USB stick and a piece of paper with 3 words. "Finish the stream." I didn't plug it in. I threw it away immediately. But last night, I woke up to a noise outside my window. The sound of static, like an old television left on. I pulled my curtains aside, and across the street, in the window of the empty apartment building, I saw a faint red glow. Someone was recording, and when I looked closer, I realized the camera was pointed directly at my window. It's strange how curiosity can feel harmless until it ruins your life. I used to think the dark web was just stories creepypasta for people with too much time on their hands. But that changed when I joined a forum called the Backdoor Market. It wasn't easy to find. You had to be invited, and each user had to prove authenticity. Whatever that meant. My invite came from someone named Rutike, who claimed we'd talked before on a hacking site. I didn't remember him, but his message was convincing. If you want to see what really happens beyond the visible web, I'll show you. One rule: don't ask questions you can't handle answers to. At first, it looked like any other underground market. Stolen credit cards, fake IDs, shady services. But there was one section I hadn't seen before, a tab labeled Curiosities. That's where things got bad. The listings weren't for drugs or weapons. They were for objects, strange, random items described in vague detail. Mirror recovered from a deceased stream host still shows her reflection. Tape recorder that plays sounds you didn't record. A box that always finds its way back. Each one had hundreds of comments from users describing their experiences. Most sounded fake until I scrolled to a listing titled The Silence Box. The description read, "Recordings of the last thing a person heard before they disappeared. Contains true ambient data. Limited stock." Something about it fascinated me. The seller rest username was just 404. Price, 0.015. Bitcoin, cheap for something supposedly so rare. I bought it. A week later, a small cardboard package arrived. No markings, no address, just my name, handwritten in black ink. Inside was a plain cassette tape labeled silence_01 and a note. Listen alone. No light, no sound. You'll understand why. I don't know why I followed the instructions, but that night I turned off my lights, sat in bed, and played the tape through my old Walkman. At first it was just white noise, like wind blowing through trees. Then faintly, so faintly I thought I imagined it. I heard breathing. A woman's, slow, uneven. Then a whisper, "Don't listen." I tore the headphones off, heart racing. My room was completely still. But as I sat there, catching my breath, I realized I could still hear it. The breathing, it was coming from somewhere near the door. I turned on the lamp. Nothing, just my empty room. I unplugged the Walkman, stuffed the tape back inside the box, and shoved it into the closet. I tried to forget it ever happened. But the next morning, my phone started buzzing nonstop. One cone number. Ober and Ober. I finally picked up. A distorted voice on the other end said one word. Finish. Then silence. I threw the phone across the room. When I checked the call history, the number was blank, no trace. Later that day, when I came home from work, my apartment door was slightly open. I knew I'd locked it that morning. Inside, everything was where I left it, except the closet. The box was gone. In its place was a new tape, labeled silence_02. I didn't touch it. I called the police. Told them someone broke in. They searched the place, found no signs of forced entry. The officer asked if anything was missing. I hesitated, then said no. How do you tell a cop someone stole a haunted cassette? That night, I didn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., I heard faint static again. But this time it wasn't coming from my Walkman. It was coming from my computer. The monitor turned on by itself, and the screen was filled with a live chat box. One message blinked repeatedly. Play IT. And then my webcam light turned on. Someone was watching me. The same username, -404, appeared on screen. Typing, "You've already listened once. You're mocked now." The screen glitched, and I saw something a live feed of my own room from another angle. I turned around instantly, scanning the walls, the vents, the corners. No camera. Nothing. Then, from behind me, I heard the faint sound of a cassette whirry, the tape player on my nightstand. The one I had anti-touched, since the first night had turned on by itself. Through the static, I could hear it again. The same woman's breathing, but now it was closer, louder, as if she was right next to the mic. And then, she laughed. Not a human laugh, something broken, choking. And underneath it, I could hear a second voice, deeper, whispering words I couldn't make out. I ripped the batteries out, threw the tape player into the trash, and drove to my parents' house that night. I didn't tell them why. 2 days later, I got an email from an anonymous address. It contained a video attachment. Against my better judgment, I opened it. The footage was grainy, black and white. It showed me sleeping in my bed. The night I left, the door in the background slowly creaked open and a figure stepped inside. I couldn't see its face, but it carried something small in its hand. It placed it on my pillow and turned to the camera. Even through the distortion, I could make out the mask, a cracked porcelain face. And scrawled across the forehead, in marker, were 3 characters. 404. You think you can walk away from the dark web. You think that once you shut the laptop, delete the apps, and clear the cache, it's over. But it's not. The truth is, when you make contact with that world, it remembers you. It's been almost a year since I stopped. No hidden forums. No encrypted chats. No late-night exploring. I got a new job, moved to another state, changed my number, did everything I could to erase that part of my life. It worked for a while. Until last month, I was freelancing as a video editor. Most of my clients were small companies, YouTubers, or people who paid for promotional clips. But one day, I received an email with the subject line: Urgent Private Project. I paid. The sender's name was simply client_09. The message said, "We require a skilled editor for a confidential short film. Payment, $3,000 upfront. Completion required within 48 hours. If interested, reply yes." No attachments, no links, no extra details. It was strange, but I needed the money. I replied, "Yes." 15 minutes later, I got another message. This time, with a download link. Do not share. Do not copy. Edit quietly. The file name was footage_raw.mp4. I hesitated before opening it. The file was huge, over 3 gigabytes. When it finally loaded into my editing software, the preview froze for a moment, then revealed a dark, dimly lit room. At first, I thought it was a movie set, but as the seconds passed, I noticed the details. Cracked concrete walls, a flickering overhead light, and in the center, a wooden chair. I froze. It was the same chair from that first dark web stream I'd seen years ago. My pulse spiked. I skipped ahead a few minutes into the footage. A man appeared, masked, wearing gloves. He dragged someone into the frame, tied them to the chair, and stepped back. The camera zoomed slightly, and that's when I saw the victim's face. It was Mason. I stared at the screen, breathless. The footage was dated only 3 days earlier. Mason, who'd disappeared over a year ago, was still alive. Or at least, he had been. I scrubbed through the video in disbelief, looking for clues, something that could explain it. But halfway through the timeline, the software froze. Then my screen went black. The speakers let out a soft, distorted whisper. "Stop editing." The mouse stopped responding. The cursor began moving on its own, dragging across the screen, opening a text file. Letters began typing automatically. "We told you to finish the stream." I yanked the power cord out of my computer, sat there in the dark, shaking. Within seconds, my phone buzzed. "Unknown number. Don't unplug. You're part of it now." I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I tried to report the email to the police, but the officer looked at me like I was crazy. The file, gone. Even my recycle bin was empty. My browser history had been wiped again, just like last time. That evening, I noticed something else. The camera on my monitor had a small red light, glowing faintly. It shouldn't have been on. I covered it with tape. Then, out of paranoia, I turned my computer back on, determined to find some trace of the video. But the desktop looked different. All my files were gone except one folder, newly created, client_deliverables. Inside it was a single video. No title, just a timestamp. I clicked it. The footage began with me sitting at my desk, just like I was right then. Same clothes, same lighting. The camera angle wasn't from my webcam, it was from behind me. The timestamp matched the exact time I was watching it. Then, from the darkness behind my unscreened self, a figure began to appear. Tall, masked, slowly walking toward me. I spun around instantly. No one was there. When I looked back at the screen, the video continued playing. The figure stopped right behind me, lifted something in its hand, a phone, and held it up to the camera. It was showing a message. We finish what we start. Then the video cut to black. I sat frozen, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. That's when I realized the webcam light had turned back on. A message box appeared in the middle of the screen. Upload complete. And then a live chat window opened automatically. Hundreds of messages scrolling, different languages, emotes, some saying next, one of those just typing ready. Someone typed, the editor's live. I lunged to turn the power off, but the screen stayed on. The camera light glowed brighter. My reflection filled the black screen. Tem primera, sa w Italiano. Behind my reflection, in the faint glow of the monitor, a second silhouette. Right over my shoulder. The feed cut abruptly. The entire system shut down. But even now, as I'm recording this, I can still hear the faint static coming from somewhere inside my walls. Sometimes, at night, I hear a click, like a camera shutter, and I know they're still watching. If you made it this far, don't go looking for the dark web. Some doors should never be opened. If these true stories disturbed you, leave a comment about which one got under your skin the most. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next story might be closer to your screen than you think.